pretty awful.
It is awful. And this has been an ongoing problem with the tech industry for almost a decade now, probably more than a decade, but it's become a real big issue in recent years. Basically, what happened is that Google apparently copied Sonos in a big way. They took their patents or copied their patented technology and made their own sort of speaker devices. So Sonos is a speaker company, and so is Google now, apparently. And so there's this article on TechCrunch by Adam Massoff talking about how, so Google just stole Sonos's intellectual property. And if you're a small company and you steal somebody's intellectual property, you basically just get sued and go out of business. And you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. But if you're big like Google, you can just use your fleet of lawyers to just be like, nope, we're just going to steal it now. It used to be that tech companies would just sort of steal, or not steal, they would buy up companies that they would want their IPs from. But if you're big enough, you don't even have to do that anymore. You have the legal defenses to just steal other people's stuff, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. And the reason I bring this up is because there was another story, and we might have covered this on the news before, where Apple was the big media in this case. So there was this company called Tile, and they make these little devices that you can find your stuff, and you push a button and your phone would ring, or you go on your phone and you push a button and your Tile rings, and your Tile might be attached to your keys or something. And in order to put that on the App Store, Apple required all the schematics and all the documentation about how the product works be delivered to them. So they had full inside knowledge of how these tiles operated. And then sure enough, Apple went along, took that knowledge, took that data, and created AirTags. And there's very little that company can do about it. I mean, Apple's just too big. They can't sue them. They can't reclaim their property. Apple's just too big. They have too many lawyers. They basically control the system. And this is what it's coming to. No longer do tech companies, or at least large tech companies, have to buy up competition they want to acquire. They can just steal it now. And that's apparently what's going on.
Well, I think it's been going on a long time. Microsoft used to do this all the time, and Apple's been doing it in the App Store for a decade or more, where they will approve your app just long enough to clone it and then kick you out.
Yep.
So,
yeah, like I said, this is not something that's happened since the beginning of the industry, but it is something that's ramped up in the past 10 years or so. There's always been some sort of like copying stuff. It most famously, like Mac OS, the original Mac OS was, of course, a copy of Bell Labs operating system. But it wasn't a pure copy. I mean, they did their own work. They didn't steal the IP. But nowadays, companies are just outright stealing IPs, and they're just too big to do anything about it. So,
well, this is why you need the government to enforce like monopoly power.
All right, Kami.
Yeah, that's Elizabeth Warren is the one that will supposedly do something about that.
All right, comrade. Let's get this done.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen. Anyway, so there's been this story all over the Rachel Maddow and other shows